Myself, Misha Jain, and I am from Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Central University, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. We are going to study conducting system of heart. It includes sinoatrial node, atrioventricular node, nerve supply to the heart, and very important topic, cardiac cycle and stages of cardiac cycle. The heart possesses the property of autorhythmicity, which means it generates its own electrical impulses and beats independently of nervous or hormonal control. That is, it is not reliant on external mechanisms to initiate each heartbeat. However, it is supplied with both sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve fibers, which increase and decrease respectively the intrinsic heart rate. In addition, the heart responds to a number of circulating hormones, including adrenaline, which is also known as epinephrine, and thyroxine. Small groups of specialized neuromuscular cells in the myocardium initiate and conduct impulses, causing coordinated and synchronized contraction of the heart muscle. We now move on to sinoatrial node. Sinoatrial node, also known as SA node, is a small mass of specialized cells in the wall of the right atrium near the opening of the superior vena cava. The SA node is the pacemaker of the heart because it normally initiates impulses more rapidly than other groups of neuromuscular cells. The sinoatrial cells generate these regular impulses because they are electrically unstable. The instability leads them to discharge or depolarize regularly, usually between 60 and 90 times a minute. This depolarization is followed by recovery or repolarization, but almost immediately their instability leads them to discharge again. Because the SA node discharges faster than any other part of the heart, normally sets the heart rate and is called the pacemaker of the heart. Firing of the SA node triggers atrial contraction. The impulse from the SA node arrives at the atrioventricular node about 0.1 second later. This is only conducting pathway linking the atria and the ventricles because of the ring of fibrous non-conducting tissue separating the upper and lower parts of the heart. AV node, atrioventricular node. This small mass of neuromuscular tissue is situated in the wall of the atrial septum near the atrioventricular valves. Normally, the AV node is stimulated by impulses that sweep over the atrial myocardium. However, it too is capable of initiating impulses that cause contraction but at a slower rate than the SA node. Atrioventricular bundle, also known as AV bundle or bundle of His. This is a mass of specialized fibers that originate from the AV node. The AV bundle crosses the fibrous ring that separates the atria and ventricles. Then at the upper end of the ventricular septum, it divides into right and left bundle branches. Within the ventricular myocardium, the branches break up into fine fibers called the Purkinje fibers. The AV bundle, bundle branches, and Purkinje fibers convey electrical impulses from the AV node to the apex of the myocardium, where the wave of ventricular contraction begins, then sweeps upwards and outwards, pumping blood into the pulmonary artery and the aorta. Let us take a look at this video to understand it more clearly.
The heart conduction pathway anatomy and physiology. Let's look at the anatomy of the heart conduction system. First is the sinoatrial or SA node. It is made up of specialized cardiomyocytes located in the posterior-superior wall of the right atrium. Bachmann's bundle. This is a branch of the anterior internodal tract that is situated on the inner wall of the left atrium. The anterior, middle and posterior internodal tracts. These tracts pass through the right atrium connecting the SA node and AV nodes. The atrioventricular or AV node located on the postero-inferior wall of the interatrial septum. The bundle of His. The left and right branch bundles. And the Purkinje fibers, which are dispersed at the base of the heart throughout the ventricular myocardium.
Nerve supply to the heart. In addition to the intrinsic impulses generated within the conducting system described above, the heart is influenced by autonomic nerves originating in the cardiovascular center in the medulla oblongata, which reach it through the autonomic nervous system. These consist of parasympathetic and sympathetic nerves, and their actions are antagonistic to one another. The vagus nerves supply mainly the SA and AV nodes and the atrial muscle. Parasympathetic stimulation reduces the rate at which impulses are produced, decreasing the rate and force of the heartbeat. The sympathetic nerves supply the SA and AV nodes and the myocardium of the atria and ventricles. Sympathetic stimulation increases the rate and force of the heartbeat. We now move on to the cardiac cycle. The function of the heart is to maintain a constant circulation of blood throughout the body. The heart acts as a pump, and its action consists of a series of events known as the cardiac cycle. During each heartbeat of cardiac cycle, the heart contracts and then relaxes. The period of contraction is called systole and that of relaxation diastole. Stages of cardiac cycle. The normal number of cardiac cycles per minute ranges from 60 to 80. Taking 74 as an example, each cycle lasts about 0.8 of a second and consists of atrial systole, known as contraction of the atria, ventricular systole, known as contraction of the ventricles, and complete cardiac diastole, known as relaxation of the atria and ventricles. It does not matter at which stage of the cardiac cycle a description starts. For convenience, the period when the atria are filling has been chosen. The superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava transport deoxygenated blood into the right atrium at the same time as the four pulmonary veins convey oxygenated blood into the left atrium. The atrioventricular valves are open and blood flows through to the ventricles. The SA node triggers a wave of contraction that spreads over the myocardium of both atria, emptying the atria and completing ventricular filling. Atrial systole lasts for zero point 0.1 seconds. When the wave of contraction reaches the AV node, it is stimulated to emit an impulse, which quickly spreads to the ventricular muscle via the AV bundle, the bundle branches, and Purkinje fibers. This results in a wave of contraction which sweeps upwards from the apex of the heart and across the walls of both ventricles, pumping the blood into the pulmonary artery and the aorta. Ventricular systole is for 0.3 seconds. The high pressure generated during ventricular contraction is greater than that in the aorta and forces the atrioventricular valves to close, preventing backflow of blood into the atria. After contraction of the ventricles, there is complete cardiac cycle, a period of 0.4 seconds when atria and ventricles are relaxed. During this time, the myocardium recovers until it is able to contract again, and the atria refill in preparation for the next cycle. The valves of the heart and of the great vessels open and close according to the pressure within the chambers of the heart. The AV valves are open while the ventricular muscle is relaxed during atrial filling and systole. When the ventricles contract, there is a gradual increase in the pressure in these chambers, and when it rises above atrial pressure, the atrioventricular valves close. When the ventricular pressure rises above that in the pulmonary artery and in the aorta, the pulmonary and the aortic valves open and blood flows into these vessels. When the ventricles relax and the pressure within them falls, the reverse flow occurs. First the pulmonary and aortic valves close, then the atrioventricular valves open and the cycle begins again. This sequence of opening and closing valves ensures that the blood flows in only one direction. This figure also shows how the walls of the aorta and other elastic arteries stretch and recoil in response to blood pumped into them. Thank you very much.